In this problem, we're going to solve the following quadratic equation using the quadratic formula. Now, as you work problems, make sure you always follow directions. So the direction says use the quadratic formula to solve this quadratic equation. Don't use any other method except what you're asked to use. So in this case, we're going to solve this using the quadratic formula. And so remember, the quadratic formula is the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac. So the radicand, and in the quadratic formula this is called the discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. All of that is being divided by all of this, but those terms here is being divided by 2a. And so to get the values of a, b, and c, those are the coefficients of these terms. And so a is defined to be the coefficient of the x squared term, so that's positive 3. B is the coefficient of x, and that's negative 2. And c is your constant, and that's negative 5. And before you determine a, b, and c, make sure the quadratic equation is in standard form. So you want all the terms on one side, you want 0 on the other, and you want to make sure it is in descending order. Alright, so we found a, b, and c, and now we're going to substitute those values into the formula. So I get x equal, my variable is x, I'm going to say x equal, okay, all right, now remember this says the opposite of b. So b in this case is a negative 2, right? And so if you think about it, the opposite of a negative 2 is a positive 2. So this becomes a positive 2. Plus or minus the square root of, now remember b is being squared, so whatever b is being squared. So b squared should never be negative. So you need to be careful when you square this negative 2. It needs to be put in parentheses because that's what's being squared. Negative 2. So negative 2 times negative 2 is a positive 4. So b squared should never be negative. Minus 4 times a is 3, times c, which is negative 5. All of that, and make sure you extend the division symbol to include both of those terms that you see here. All of that is being divided by 2 times a, and a is 3. So I get 2 plus or minus the square root of, and at this point we're going to simplify the radicand. We're going to simplify the discriminant. So I get negative 2 squared is 4, and a negative 4, think of subtracting 4 as being adding the opposite. So adding a negative 4 times 3. So negative 4 times 3 times a negative 5 is a positive 60, all divided by 6. 4 plus 64 is, 4 plus 6 is 64, so this becomes 2 plus or minus the square root of 64, all divided by 6. Alright, so you see the work that has to be shown. Now at this point, you need to simplify the radical if possible, and in this case, 64 is a perfect square. So the square root of 64 is 8. So this becomes 2 plus or minus 8 divided by 6. And the fact that the square root of 64 is a rational number, it is not an irrational number, we are now going to write this as two rational solutions. So we're going to split it apart just like this. And so you're going to say 2. So remember, x is going to equal 2. So this numerator says 2 plus 8, 2 minus 8. So we get 2 plus 8 divided by the denominator, and then 2 minus 8 divided by 6. And then simplifying this one, 2 plus 8 is 10, so I get 10/6, which reduced is 5/3. And over here, I get 2 minus 8, which is a negative 6, which reduces a negative 1. And so the solutions, your solutions are, there are two of them, x equal 5/3 and x equal negative 1. So those are the only two values of x that will make this equation a true statement. Okay? Alright, so that is the solution to this problem. Again, always make sure you follow directions. If it says solve using quadratic formula, you must use the quadratic formula. If it says solving using completing the square, you must use completing the square, and so on. Always follow directions.